Patterson. It's dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the big one is out.
Good evening, race fans. My name is Jake Fescanen here with Team Goon Squad, here to bring you the next round in the League Zero Racing Series Formula 3 iRacing League. We are here at Watkins Glen International Raceway getting set for our feature race. They're going to be going 24 laps around this track, and we've got a healthy field of 18 cars out there. Let's take a look at your grid for tonight's action. We've got starting off in first Raymond Aguilar, Chase Small following him starting second tonight, Brad Tritton starting third, Kevin Burrows starting fourth. Behind them you've got John Kasai starting fifth, Nick Peterson starting sixth, our favorite Australian Gareth McAllister starting in seventh, Hunter Graves rolling off in eighth tonight, Peter Reidinger starting in ninth, Nick Marshall in 10th. Behind them, you've got Xavier Sayin and Michael Rosen in 11th and 12th. As we move our way back through the field, you're going to see Felipe Ramos starting in 13th, Brandon Dwan in 14th, Norman King in 15th, Ricardo Espino in 16th. Levi Opez is in 17th, and rounding out our 18 grid field is Danilo Saparpini. Drivers are getting ready to roll. Let's take a look as they're going to get ready to go. They are off and rolling for our first race, 24 laps around Watkins Glen, or 45 minutes, whichever comes first. Aguilar with a quick lead to begin. Looks like he's got about a tenth and a half over Brad Tritton. They are working their way down the backstretch. Side-by-side action going into the bus stop chicane. A little bit of contact with the curbing there for Raymond Aguilar. He slides off, and that's going to put Chase Small up in the lead. So quick incident there for Raymond Aguilar as he caught a little too much of that curb and just lost it going through the bus stop. These Formula 3 cars sitting lower to the ground and very sensitive to any kind of contact with the track like that. It can easily get them upset and send them around. See, rest of the field has worked their way through. Seems like everybody else got by Aguilar with no issues, so that puts him back to 18th on the grid. I'm going to stay up front, though, as we got a great battle between Chase Small and Brad Britton brewing. Kevin Burrows running back there in third, just ahead of the three of John Kasai. Again, we are using the boot layout here at Watkins Glen, so drivers using the full course available. Stretches this track out and gives drivers multiple opportunities to seek passing amongst their competitors. Chase Small building up to a quick, almost 2-second lead as he comes out of the final corner to round onto the front stretch and complete lap number 1 of 24 for this feature race. Look back. We got Kevin Burrows. Oh, we got a big wreck behind. We'll grab a replay of that shortly. Looks like Ricardo Espino might have been involved in that. focus here on the front for the time being until we can get that replay for you. Take a look and see what happened to Ricardo Espino. Looks like Ricardo Espino and Norman King might have had a bit of an issue. You can see the 70 of Espino running on the outside as they were coming through that final turn. You can see Norman King in the 28 on the inside of him. See if there's any contact. Looks like Norman King pushed it a little bit wide. I think, yeah, a little bit of maybe some netcode there where iRacing thought there was a little more contact before it actually happened, and it just spun them across Espino and sends them both to the outside retaining wall and sends Norman King back to the pits. So we're going to bring it back to Chase Small. Give us 1 second, we'll get out of that. Alright, so we are back live. You can see Chase Small. We'll get back to him with a pretty big almost 3-second lead as he works his way out of the final corner to complete lap number 2, leading over Brad Tritton and the 80 of Kevin Burrows. Those two are separated by about 3/10. You can still see the 70 of Espino sitting there on the outside, but not posing any danger to traffic as he is off of the racing line. Chase Small with the best lap of the race so far at a 1:39.84 that last time by, so he's currently setting pace for the field as they work their way, but a great side-by-side battle here between Kevin Burrows and Brad Tritton. You see Brad Tritton able to work his way down the backstretch and get by Tritton as he leads them into the bus stop for battle for second and third, and looming right behind them is the 24 of Nick Patterson and the number 3 of John Kasai. So that's a great battle between second and fifth on the track. Moving about a second behind them is a great battle between the 44 of Reidinger and the 25 of Gareth McAllister. You can see those two running 6th and 7th on the track. Get back up to this battle for second, though, as Burrows tries to stretch out his gap ahead of Tritton ever so slightly. He's about 3/4 of a second ahead of Tritton. Tritton under heavy pressure from both the 24 of Nick Peterson and the 3 of John Kasai as they work their way out of the boot section of Watkins Glen International Raceway. You can see them working their way through the final 2 corners. Chase Small just checking out, though. Big gap over the field. He's got this race going out about as best as he possibly could with the start, given the problems that happened to Raymond Aguilar. Aguilar with a little bit of recovery up to 12th, now trying to work his way back through the field, just a little bit off of the pace. Naturally, you would expect damage, although he did set a quick time the last time by for the fastest lap of the race with a 1:39.565. You can see great battle on the track so far. A little bit of side-by-side racing right behind. Looks like we might have had a bit of a change. Looks like John Kasai moves his way past Nick Patterson up into 4th. Patterson now running in the 5th place in the 24 DHL vehicle. You can see those two running nose to tails. They work their way through the layout. Jump back up to Chase Small, who's just got a massive advantage. Although Kevin Burrows is closing it in last time by, he was about 4/10 of a second faster, 4.5 tenths faster than Small, so that gap is now down to just 2 seconds. Could be a difference in a little bit of tire saving, possibly some strategy, maybe Chase just not wanting to push the car any harder than he needs to. But that gap is definitely closing back down as Burrows is trying to light his way through this field. Let's see if he can get his way back to Small. Great job by him so far. Both drivers in the front putting on a commanding pace. As Burrows has stretched his gap out to about 1.5 seconds over Brad Tritton. It's pretty big gaps, really, for the front 3. They're all about even, just around 1.5 seconds or so, and then a little bit closer between Tritton and Kasai and Nick Patterson in 4th and 5th, respectively. Jump back to probably one of the closest battles you can see. Hunter Graves in the middle of this 3-car pack that involves the 12 of Xavier Sinavi, 37 Hunter Graves, and your pole sitter Raymond Aguilar as he's trying to work his way back up. You see he's trying to look to the inside of Hunter Graves as they go into the bus stop, in and out of it pretty quick. This is a battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th on track. Currently one of your closest battles on track right now. Sinavi up 3 spots from where he started, Graves down just 1, and of course Aguilar down 9 spots, but he's doing a valiant effort trying to march his way as much through the field as he possibly can. And back up towards the front though, as we've got a little bit of nose to tail action between the 26 of Brad Tritton, the 3 of John Kasai, and the 24 of Nick Patterson. Those 3 running 3rd, 4th, and 5th on track. Certainly trying to do what they can. Let's see if they can try to catch back up to the front at all. Great job by these 3 though. Gap's still about a little under 1.6 seconds between Burrows and Chase Small, and Brad Tritton's about 2 seconds back, so a little bit of a separation between the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd cars on track, but still a really competitive race up here up front and battles all over the track. Take a look back at the 12 of Xavier Sinavi as you see just on the inside, the 72 of Raymond Aguilar going by him, so move Aguilar up to the 8th spot, move Sinavi back to the 9th spot on track as Aguilar is trying to set as fast a laps as he can. Really running not very far off of the front 2 cars the last time by, so certainly doing a good job recovering from that spin to start the race, really trying to work his way as close to the front as he possibly can. It's like the 11 of Michael Olson might have had a bit of an issue as he is showing on pit road. Looks like he's on there for an extended stay. Let's see if we get a replay of what happened there as we are working lap number 6 of 24 in this feature race. You can see Rolson here in the 11 working his way through the final corner. I believe this was on his 4th lap. You see him get a little bit wide there off the corner tags, the outside wall, and oof, quite a bit of left rear damage. And then to make matters worse, gets the front nose back into it. You see the wing detaching their left front wheel with quite a bit of damage. So it looks like that's going to be a fairly lengthy stay on pit road to get those repairs. We'll see if he can get back out before the end of this race. Get back to your leader as the gap has closed down significantly between Chase Small and Kevin Burrows. Kevin Burrows has that gap now down to under 1 1/4 seconds on track. So approaching the 3rd way mark of this feature race, and Kevin Burrows is certainly trying to do the best he can to get back to Chase Small and see if he can have something to say about taking over the lead for this. Got Nick Patterson also working his way up through the field as he was able to get by the 3 of John Kasai. So your current top 5 right now as it stands, the 5 of Chase Small leading, 80 of Kevin Burrows in 2nd, 26 of Brad Tritton in 3rd. Nick Patterson on the 24 is up to 4th, and John Kasai in the 3 is running in 5th place where he started this race. Felipe Aguilar, a little update on him. He has worked his way past the 25 of Garrick McAllister, so move Raymond up to the 7th position. Again, really trying to battle back from that early race issue. Able to set the fastest lap of the race last time by with a 1:38.93. So clicking off laps that are the fastest on the track. It's like the Opitz might have had a bit of an issue there on that last lap. Grab a replay for you in a second. Take a look at what happened there as we see the battle up front, though, is closing down quite a bit. It's now down under 0.6 of a second between Small and Burrows. Drivers are clicking off ferocious laps as Burrows is closing in a hurry. It's about half a second faster than Chase Small the last time by, so we'll see if he continues to put that pressure or if he stalls out a little bit once he gets up to the back end of Chase Small. Chase Small works his way through the bus stop. You can see Kevin Burrows not very far behind, although Chase Small able to stretch out that lead ever so slightly through the bus stop. See it start closing down a little bit though as they work their way out of the carousel and into the portion of the course. It's bouncing ever so much, right around 6.5 tenths to about 3/4 of a second behind. Drivers seem to find their individual strengths and weaknesses through this course and are doing a fairly good job at managing their cars without pushing it over the edges. We've seen some other drivers have issues. This is closed up significantly as it's down to just 0.3 of a second as they work their way back out into the final 2 corners of the course tonight. Great job by these drivers, though, here, putting on a great show up front for you. You can see going into turn number 1, Chase Small holding about 0.4 of an advantage over Kevin Burrows. Let this battle shake out a little bit and see if we can get you that replay for what happened to Felipe Aguilar as he has worked his way into pit road. Raymond Aguilar also able to get by Peter Reidinger, move him up to 6th place, so he's trying to charge, but may not be enough time to get there as they are working lap number 9 of 24 this evening. These 2 drivers, Chase Small and Kevin Burrows, are putting on a great battle. Like I said, the gap kind of fluctuates back and forth depending on which corner the drivers are stronger in, but gap certainly overall has closed quite a bit. At one point in time, Chase Small had almost a 3-second lead over the field, so closed down significantly. As you see, he's got just about 1/5 of what he had at one point, and coming out of the boot section really seems to be where Kevin Burrows is making up a lot of time as he's got that gap back down to under half a second to Chase Small. So a great seesaw battle back here as Chase Small still able to maintain that lead, but the gap is going back and forth, and one slip up between either driver could change this running order at the front pretty drastically. See Burrows trying to stay right behind Small, catch his draft, work down the front stretch, see if he can close in even more as they work their way into turn number 1. It's like Small might be attacking turn number 1 a little bit harder than Kevin Burrows. Not sure if Kevin Burrows just is not quite as fast through that section or if that might be a bit of strategy. He's trying to save some tires. But certainly making for some exciting shots as they come flying by out of the S's and on into the back stretch. This is the fastest part of the course for these drivers. Raymond Aguilar also up past the number 3 machine of John Kasai, move him up to the 5th place, so he's charging in a hurry as we are working a lap number 10 of 24. Just under 16 minutes into the 45 minutes allotted for this feature race, although if they keep this pace up, I don't see any reason why these drivers shouldn't have any problems finishing this race off in its allotted time. I certainly don't want this race to end, as this has been an incredible battle between these drivers. Keep it on here. You see again, still working through that boot section, that Burrows is just able to cut down so much time to Chase Small. Able to get it now down to under 0.2 of a second as he's about half a car length to a car length off. Chase Small a little loose there out of the second to last corner. Gets it gathered back up. We'll see if that affects his tires at all, heating up those rear tires at all. Gap's going to be just under 0.3 of a second, right around 1/4 of a second as they cross the line this time by. Lap times were about 0.3 of a second off between your front two drivers, or excuse me, almost identical lap times between your front two drivers. Fastest car on the track last time was the 72 of Raymond Aguilar. Just as I say that, you see Kevin Burrows go into the inside, trying to work by Chase Small. He's going to work the inside as they go down the backstretch, and he's going to clear the number 5 of Chase Small. So new leader on lap number 11 of this feature race. Move Kevin Burrows in the 80 machine up to the point. See if he can start stretching this gap out quickly, or if he's going to back the pace off and was pushing it as hard as he needed to get by Chase Small. Keep an eye on them the remainder of this lap and see what is going to happen up here in the front two. See if Chase Small starts falling back to the rest of the field. So he's only about 2.25 seconds ahead of Nick Peterson, who's in 3rd place. And remember, you've got Brad Tritton in the 26 looming in 4th, and Raymond Aguilar in the 72 machine running in 5th, trying to work his way up through the field. Focus back on him as he is trying to work his way to the inside of the 26 of Brad Tritton, move himself up into 4th place on the grid. Certainly a very, very, very impressive recovery by the 72. He's done a great job to get that vehicle back up through the field. Works by Kasai up to 4th place. He's going to try to track down the 24 of Nick Peterson, who's currently running in 3rd place. It's about a second behind Peterson, so we'll see how long it takes him. And we have some pit stops starting as Brad Tritton is the first one to bring himself onto pit lane. Very quick stop, only 4.5 seconds, and he is off of pit road, rejoining the field. So we may see some strategy right here around the halfway part of the race, see when drivers choose to come to pits. Get back up to Kevin Burrows. He's got just about a second lead over Chase Small as they work their way through the boot layout. Take a look back and see what happened to Levi Opitz back on lap number 7. You can see running by himself, coming there through the boot section of Watkins Glen. See if he just gets a little aggressive on a corner entry and loses it, or if he ends up having a problem going off of track. Seems like everything's running fine. Yeah, he just seems to attack the corner a little too hard there. Car looks like it might have been over-rotating a little bit there on corner entry. Maybe running it right on the edge of the grip. Yeah, you can see right there as he tries to pick up the throttle that car just spins around to the right side. Gets himself down to the inside. Looks like he does a fairly good job of keeping it off of the wall though, so not too much in the way of significant damage for Levi. But yeah, it's very easy to do when you're trying to attack, and once you start losing it, these cars are very hard to bring back in. Let's get back to the 80 of Kevin Burrows, who stretched that lead out to about 1.5 seconds. Nick Peterson in the 24 is going to be under hot pursuit from the 72 of Raymond Aguilar. So you can see Raymond Aguilar looking to the outside of him, going to try to clear him going into the bus stop. He does get him, so move Raymond Aguilar up into the 3rd place, and he is now under 2 seconds behind the number 5 of Chase Small. So he is aggressively working his way back up through the field, trying to do the best recovery that he possibly can here on lap number 13. They are just over halfway done with this first race for your evening. And great driving overall by everybody so far. Really, aside from a few incidents, we've seen pretty clean racing for the most part. So certainly a great job by the drivers altogether. Take a look as you see Aguilar working his way back out onto the remainder of the cup layout here at Watkins Glen. It's now down to under 1.5 seconds behind Chase Small, so the gap between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is all pretty even, right around 1.4 seconds, varying between 1.35 and 1.45 seconds, but certainly I would say, as last time by, Raymond Aguilar is the fastest car on track with a 139.05. He's certainly lighting it up, trying to do the best that he possibly can to recover. You can see not too far ahead is the 5 of Chase Small, so we've got a little bit of pit strategy. Danilo spar up Hanny in pit road for his service. Nick Marshall and Brad Tritton are your only other two so far that have opted for service in this race so far. You can see the 24 of Nick Patterson trying to close back up to Aguilar. So that gap is about 0.6 of a second. See though if Aguilar can fend him off and pull away a gap to Chase Small's falling back a little bit, so Aguilar might have kind of stalled out, may be starting to feel the effects on his tires of pushing so hard the first half of the race and may not have quite as much a grip to his liking as he would desire at this point in time to keep closing, but he is certainly putting forth his best effort to try to close up as much as he can. Get back up to the front and see the race leader of Kevin Burrows, who's taking a commanding lead as he got out in front of Chase Small and has extended it out to about 1.3 seconds. Chase Small does pull off to pit road as well as the 24 of Nick Patterson. So you're going to start seeing a little bit of variance in strategy here as these drivers are all starting to feel the effects of the tires and want to pit for what is likely going to be their only stop of the evening for this first race here tonight. We'll see how long Burrows, Aguilar, Kasai, McAllister, and Hunter Graves all want to stay out, as Peter Reidinger and Xavier Senavi all also opt to pit. So it's going to leave just 5 drivers who are left to pit. That is your front 5 on the track of Burrows, Aguilar, Kasai, McAllister, and Hunter Graves. We'll see how long they want to push it. I don't know if they're waiting to see if a full course caution with a safety car is going to come out. Doesn't seem likely at this point, so they may just be trying to build as much of a gap as they can so that if they can come to pit road and not lose too much time, they can either maintain their position or not give up too many spots on the track and then have some fresher tires and be able to battle back ahead of some of the drivers that have already pitted. So we'll see how this all cycles out, as again, we've got just 5 drivers left to complete their green flag stops for this feature race here at Watkins Glen, the League Zero Formula Series, presented by Nemesis. This has been a great battle to watch, though. You can see Burrows quite a bit ahead of Aguilar, almost a 2.5 second lead. And just as I speak that, Burrows is making his way on the pit. Aguilar follows in behind him. So right now that is Kasai is also going to come in. We'll see if McAllister and Graves are going to follow the way. It looks like McAllister is opting for the same strategy, and Hunter Graves also coming in. So your front 5 all choosing to come in here on lap number 15. So that's going to move Chase Small back into the lead. Most likely, we'll see as they front 5 work through their pit service. We'll see if anybody can get off of pit road in time. It's like Aguilar, Burrows, McAllister are all done with their service. Kasai also done. See, it looks like Burrows is able to maintain the lead. He's got about a 2.15 second lead over Aguilar. You can see Aguilar working just ahead of the 5 of Chase Small as they work their way out of the S's and onto the back stretch. I would expect Aguilar to be able to pull away a little bit. We saw he had some pretty significant pace, and now that on fresher tires, he should be able to push that vehicle a little bit harder than he had been the last few laps. So with Chase Small coming in 1 lap earlier, Aguilar is going to have a little bit of fresher tires. Not sure the fall-off is going to be that big over 1 lap, but I would expect him to be able to push the car just a little bit harder, although it's going to take some time for those tires to come up to temp and those drivers to feel that optimal grip level where they can really start pushing the car to the extreme. You can see a few of the drivers that were in the top 5 have fallen back a little bit. Gareth McAllister is back down to 8th after that cycles out. And you've also got John Kasai running in 6th place now. Your other driver that stopped on lap 15 was the 37 of Hunter Graves. He is back in 10th place. So a little bit of difference in positions based on that strategy, and we'll see how it goes. But Raymond Aguilar is quickly making use of his fresh grip, trying to cut the gap down to Kevin Burrows. He's got it down to under a second as they cross the line to begin lap number 17 here of 24. So they're going to have just 8 laps to go. Got 2/3 of the race done. These drivers now, with what is likely their only pit stop for the race, really going to be pushing full bore, trying to get everything they can, improve their finish for this first race of the evening. Certainly a great job by everybody. You're seeing some variance in strategies, which is providing some difference in positions as well as some good on-track battles as well. Keep it here on the battle for the league as Aguilar is closing in so quickly compared to Kevin Burrows the last time by about a 1.5 seconds difference in lap times. Pretty significant gap between the two. So Raymond Aguilar is trying to make as quick a work as he can. We appreciate all the fans that are tuned in out there, lending their support for these drivers. We know these drivers appreciate it each and every week that you fans are able to tune in, and we are proud to bring this racing to you here on Team Goon Squad. Gap sitting right around a 1/2 second, bouncing ever so much between about 4/10 and 7/10. Again, same thing, some drivers are a little bit stronger at other corners compared to others, and that's where you're seeing that little bit of a difference in the gap as it fluctuates real time. But nevertheless, Raymond Aguilar is just lighting up laps right now, trying to do the best that he can to get fast lap of the race and take over the lead. Be a really remarkable recovery if he's able to do that. He's currently got the lock on fast lap at a 1:39.05. It's good for about 1/4 second faster than the next closest lap, which came from the 80 of Kevin Burrows. Great job by Aguilar. You can see he works to the inside of Kevin Burrows as they're going to work their way into the bus stop. It seems to be a very favorable position as drivers work their way off the S's down the backstretch, try to carry as much momentum as they can and work to either side of their competitors and complete the pass. So move Raymond Aguilar back up to the lead, spot that he has not seen since the opening lap of this race. Only took him about 17 laps to get back there, but he certainly made all the right moves to position himself and put himself back into the lead. Kevin Burrows back to second, Chase Small running third in the number 5 machine, Nick Patterson in the 24 machine running in fourth, and Brad Tritton in the 26 is running out your top 5. So Raymond Aguilar pulls away from Kevin Burrows. We're going to go look back for that battle between 4th and 5th, though, between Patterson and Tritton. See, Tritton runs a little bit wide there. They give a little bit of time to Patterson as that gap is sitting right around 4 to 5/10 of a second. Patterson holding the advantage over Tritton, but these two are trying to close up, see if they can work their way to the number 5 of Chase Small. Tritton focused on the back end of Patterson, trying to take as much advantage of that draft as they work their way down the front stretch. You see a little bit of weaving between the two drivers. Patterson trying to break that draft, Tritton trying to stay within it and gain as much time as he can down the front stretch. These drivers work their way out of turn number 1 and into the S's, make that uphill climb. There's a few elevation changes here at Watkins Glen, as this is in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. Very scenic, pretty view, as you can see. And like I said, these elevation changes allow drivers to gain a little bit of momentum or try to carry a little momentum around their competitors. But great battle here for 4th and 5th on track right now between the 24 of Patterson and the 26 of Tritton. Work their way out of the carousel into the boot section. Going to work their way down the hill. You're going to see Tritton trying to look to the left side of Patterson. Patterson kind of cuts that off a little bit. Tritton tries to cross over, but they're going to go back nose to tail here. About a car length and a half separating these two, maybe 2 car lengths at times as they work their way back up. We are working lap number 19 of 24, so coming close to our closing stages of the race. A little bit of a wide exit there by Tritton. He's really trying to use all the track he can, try to keep as much momentum up as he can. Little slide happy there out of the corner as well. Not sure if that'll start to affect his rear tires, if he'll start to stabilize compared to Patterson, or if he's going to still be able to continue to gain time. Check the lap times as they work their way back onto the front stretch to complete their lap. Last time by a 139.85 for Patterson to a 139.77 for Brad Tritton, so just under a tenth of a second last time by separating these two. Certainly a very close battle on track. These drivers trying to gain all they can and get all of the finishing positions before the end of this, as they've got just 5 laps to go, working lap number 20 of 24 this evening. Again, only approaching 33 minutes of the allotted 45 minutes. I don't think there should be any reason that these drivers shouldn't be able to complete this, but we'll have to see if there's any incidents on track that may cause some issues there. Certainly a great job by these drivers, though. See Patterson, gap's maintaining, it's been bouncing around, but this time, extends out to about 6/10, but it's holding pretty consistent, somewhere in an average right around the 4/10 range, so pretty close battle on track. Raymond Aguilar pulling away from Kevin Burrows. He has that gap up to just under a second and a half. About a almost 3.5 second gap between Kevin Burrows and the 5 of Chase Small for second and third, and Chase Small is about 2.5 seconds ahead of this battle here, so this is one of your closest battles on track right now. I'm going to go back to the 44 of Peter Reidinger, as the 25 of Gareth McAllister is closing down, falling right behind him as they work their way out of the front stretch into turn number 1. There's a battle for 7th and 8th on track between the 44 of Reidinger and the 25 of Gareth McAllister. Gareth McAllister works to the inside of Reidinger through the S's. He's going to have the preferred line coming out of those on that inside row. See him clear. We'll see if Reidinger tries to cross over, take the right-hand side, the inside line into the bus stop. Looks like he thinks about it, but backs off, thinks better of it. So McAllister leads these two out of the bus stop into the carousel. Trying to carry as much momentum as he can. A little bit wiggly there. Just try to correct the car coming up, but not anything too bad. Certainly did not seem to slow his momentum at all, as he's got just about a 1/4 of a second lead over Reidinger. So Gareth McAllister back up to 7th place where he started this race. Peter Reidinger still up 1 spot from where he started, but back to 8th at the current time. You can see these two are working. Now gap is about a 1/2 second, which equates to roughly 3 car lengths on track at the speeds that they are running. Certainly a great job by both drivers to keep it pretty clean, really overall. Again, as I said, everybody's had pretty clean races. You've got some drivers that are out, some drivers that are on pits for repairs, but overall, majority of the field has been able to do a very good job keeping competitive laps up and all running as close as they can to each other without pushing it over the limits of these cars. Goes back up to the front, as you can see. Nick Patterson holds just under a 1 second advantage now over Brad Tritton. Extended that gap out a little bit over the last lap or so, as they are just 3 laps left. Working lap number 22 of 24. About a 2.5 second gap for Raymond Aguilar over Kevin Burrows. Take a look back in as he works his way through the boot section here. Feeling pretty comfortable. I would assume he's feeling pretty happy in the cockpit of that number 72 machine, feeling like he's got this race in control. Has to feel very proud of himself for recovering as much as he had after that beginning race spin there in the bus stop. Doing a great job to work his way back through the field, and seems like he really has been the class of the field for most of the race, despite really not regaining the lead until the last third of it or so. great job overall. Works his way through the final corner. Gets ever so close to that outside retaining wall, but does not hit it. Looks like Kevin Burrows makes a late race pit stop. Peter Reitinger also coming in. Kevin Burrows with a little bit of an issue. Let's take a look and see what happened to him. You can see on the replay, Burrows works it a little wide. Coming back across the curbing. Didn't see too much of an issue there. Let's see if he has an issue through this corner here, if that's where the problem ends up happening. Gonna work it down into the entry, take a little bit of a later apex to try to carry as much momentum off of the corner as he can. Looks like he's going to push it a little bit wide. You can see that car really sliding, gets into that grass, and as soon as he gets that right side tire into the grass, that just spins him right around across the track, bringing him back to the inside, and he's going to drill the inside retaining wall with those right side tires. Looks like he's got some both front and rear suspension damage, with the rear taking a little bit more wear out of that, so that's going to put him on pit road for repairs, effectively take him out of the rest of this race. Give Aguilar a massive 7.5 and second lead over the 5 of Chase Small, who's moved up to second with that. I think with that kind of spread everybody out. Everybody kind of really tried to check up and play it pretty safe there. So a couple of drivers might have been involved in that as well. You can see Gareth McAllister back. He is on pit road. Peter Reitinger also on pit road. So a little bit of an issue for some drivers late going in the races. We have just one lap to go with Raymond Aguilar coming across the start-finish line to take the white flag. And that really has kind of spread the field out a little bit. So see if anybody's able to do anything this last lap. I think the only way any positions are going to change hands is if anybody has any kind of self-inflicted wounds here. So wouldn't be surprised if some drivers decide to back it off a little bit, just kind of lock down the positions that they're in, take a little bit of a conservative approach, and get themselves to the end of the race as they are all working that last lap. But again, massive, massive advantage. It's down to about 7.3 seconds between Raymond Aguilar and Chase Small, but massive battle. These are the two drivers that have led almost most of the race. Chase Small with quite a bit of it, and then Kevin Burrows having the lead for the middle section of the race before Raymond Aguilar was able to get back by him. But we will see if anything is able to change hands, as looks like Patterson's really trying to close up to Chase Small, so we'll look there. Nick Marshall with a little bit of an issue. We'll see if we can get a replay as this race winds up. As you can see, this gap's about the closest we have on track for your front contenders. Just about 3/4 of a second. So we're going to get back to Raymond Aguilar as he's working his way off of the final corner. He's going to come across the line, take the checkered flag to finish this race out. A little bit of a victory celebration there. Looks like Chase Small is going to hold on to the second place finishing position, as Nick Patterson's going to bring it home in fourth. He makes contact with the number 30 of Nick Marshall, who was parked there on the inside. Big hit for them. Brad Tritton able to bring it home in fourth for this, and John Kasai bringing it across the line in fifth. Hunter Graves going to be in sixth. So let these drivers cool down, see if we can get your top three into the waiting room, bring them in for some race interviews. And we'll take a look at some of the issues that may have happened there on the end. Certainly a competitive race there at the end. We're going to bring up your race results. Give these drivers just a minute to work their way into the waiting room. We're going to bring up, while we have them, your number 3 finisher on track, Nick Patterson.
Track.
I have with me the 3rd place finisher on the number 24 machine of Nick Patterson. Nick, this is Jake Fescan in the booth. That was certainly a very interesting finish to the race. Did you happen to see what happened to Kevin Burrows out there with that final lap incident that he had, or were you able to avoid that cleanly?
I got pretty lucky with avoiding him. He turned on maybe like the third corner to the end, and I got past him pretty clean.
Yeah, we certainly saw some drivers kind of come and go, a little bit of a difference in pit strategy there. Did you have any kind of like pre-planned strategy for when you wanted to stop, or were you kind of feeling out what all your competitors were doing around you and basing your strategy off of that?
I was trying to undercut Raymond, but it didn't work out, and I just played it safe and went with a normal amount of fuel.
Well, it certainly was a great race to watch. It seems like some sections of Watkins Glen could prove a little bit tricky in these cars, but seems like they were handling it pretty well. How did you like the course tonight for this first race here?
It was a good time. The curbs can be a bit much sometimes; they'll really grab you, but if you use them to your advantage, you can gain some time.
Certainly a great run. Anybody you want to send a shout out to before we let you go to get ready for your second sprint race tonight?
I'd like to give a shout out to Raymond. He did a pretty good time, spinning on the first lap and then coming back and winning it all. But I'll give a shout out to my fiance Laura for cheering me on.
Certainly, congratulations. Great run with a 3rd place finish there, and we look to see a competitive race out of you in the sprint race coming soon.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob.
All right, we are going to bring in our 2nd place finisher, driver of the number 5 machine, Chase Small. Chase Small able to bring it home in 2nd place. Jake Fescannon in the booth here with you. Tell me about your race. You got a little bit of benefit there with Raymond having a problem in the bus stop on that first lap, and it looked like you were trying to take advantage and try to command the lead for most of the race.
Yeah, Raymond had a little squabble there when he was going on the inside of the bus stop. I got the lead, stretched out to about 3 seconds, and then Burrows was just running me down the whole race. I knew I didn't have anything for him when he got to me, so I was holding off as long as I could. But he spun all at 3 laps left. We got second. Good points for the team. Getting closer to that lead for that team championship.
Yeah, we did happen to see that little bit of an incident there that Burrows had on that last lap. Were you able to avoid that? Looked like a pretty beneficial thing for you, as you guys in the front 3 were all probably a rough, even gap between each other. So it seems like that little bit of luck in your hand, but you're certainly in a good spot to take advantage of that there.
Yeah, this track's tough. There's a couple corners that get you if you're not careful. The last couple laps I was really struggling. If we had one more lap, Nick would have caught me. So I definitely got lucky there. But anybody can spin at any time at this track. So.
Yeah, certainly it seemed like there was some spots that were a little on edge. How did you feel like your car handled, especially we saw some drivers having a little bit of issues depending on how they were coming across the curbing here at Watkins Glen. Did you seem to notice that at all, or did it handle it pretty well for you?
Yeah, the curb at the bus stop's pretty rough. If you don't hit it right, it's gonna send you to the another realm. But the car handled okay. Towards the end of the race, I was definitely understeering a lot. My tires were definitely gone. But we brought it home. I was going about 80% that whole race just so I didn't wreck it. Because I can go a lot faster, but you go fast, and what happened to Burrows happens to anybody. So.
Certainly, it seemed like a very solid strategy. Great job bringing home in second. Anybody you want to send a shout out to before we let you go to get prepared for the sprint race tonight?
I want to shout out my teammate Raymond and Track Limit Racing.
Awesome. Glad to have you up here. Congrats on the 2nd place finish, and look forward to good things to come out of the sprint race tonight.
Thank you very much.
That was your 2nd place finish, or the number 5 of Chase Small. We are going to bring in your race leader, man of the feature race, driver of the number 72, Raymond Aguilar. I have with me the winner of the feature race, the driver of the 72 machine, Raymond Aguilar. Raymond, this is Jake Fescan. This is my first time getting to see you, but wow, you put on a clinic for those drives marching up through the field. Tell me about your recovery efforts there after having that little bit of that incident in the bus stop on the first lap.
Yeah, that was I think that might be the first time I've done like a proper last to first. And I saw the wall coming. I thought I was just going to let myself go into it. And I thought, I'm going to slam the brake. Maybe I can get some places back. And man, felt good. I almost died several times to that bus stop, though.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to be a very tricky spot for a lot of drivers. We were hearing some other drivers talking about how the curbing there just upset the car so much if you hit it the wrong way. Did you see that to be the case as well? Obviously, we had the issue in the first one, but did you feel like you kind of sorted it out the rest of the race?
Yeah, so the problem is like it's that entry curb that's taking everybody out, which I wish they'd lower that. But I think the biggest thing that I was having trouble with was if I tried to go through there safely at a slower speed, I'd get real loose and almost crash. If I go through, like bat out of hell, for some reason it sticks better. So I don't know how to handle that.
Well, you certainly made it look great. We saw you kind of take the lead over there right around just after the halfway part from Kevin Burrows. You guys all pitted the front five at that point, all pitted on the same strategy. Did you kind of have a pre-planned strategy for when you wanted to come in, or did it change after you had that first lap spin?
It did change. Tonight I was going to try to come in early so that I could get out front and have warm tires for when the tow comes, because if you duck in, come back out, and someone's right behind you, and they get that tow, you're on cold tires. You're kind of a sitting duck. So I was going to come in early, but then once I spun it in lap one, all bets were off.
Oh, it certainly looks like that strategy worked out to perfection. Anybody you want to send a shout out to before we let you go make your final preparations for the sprint race tonight?
Yeah, my team, Track Limit Racing, sponsors Sky Rizzy, Hankook Tires, and I want to do a special thanks to Team Goon Squad. They've been giving me some coaching lately, and I think it's clearly working. I love it. It's awesome stuff.
Yeah, great results, and look forward to a great run from you in the sprint race to come tonight as well. Best of luck, and hopefully we'll be talking to you soon tonight.
Yep. Thanks, Jacob.
All right, and with that, we are going to let these drivers finish off their final preparations. As you can see, just a couple minutes left here in their pre-race warm-ups for the sprint race. So we'll be back with you shortly after a couple commercials, get those for you out of the way, and then we'll be back for the sprint race, 12 laps, and an exciting conclusion to our round this evening. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and come back for some exciting racing.
Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona. The big one is out.
All right, we are back with you as drivers are finishing up their final preparations for this sprint race here. We're going to have just 12 laps for this one again around Watkins Glen. Same layout, same time. See how the drivers can manage this with a faster pace. Should see everybody able to go without pit stops, but let's take a look at the grid and see how they're going to line up for this. Starting on the pole is going to be the number 44 of Peter Reidinger, Garrett McAllister. The 25 is going to be starting second. Kevin Burrows is going to be off in third. In the 80, Nick Marshall starting fourth. Felipe Ramos starting fifth. Xavier Senabi in sixth. Hunter Graves in seventh. Rolling off in eighth is John Kasai. Brad Trenton rolling off in ninth. Nick Patterson in 10th. Jay Small going to be bringing it off in 12th. Or in 11th, excuse me. And behind him is going to be the 72 of Raymond Aguilar. Following them, you're going to have the 13 of Daniel Spavarini. And we are off and rolling. So focus here on the front. As you can see, all drivers are off and rolling. 18 drivers taking the track, working their way through the S's. 44 of Peter Reidinger leading the way. Garrett McAllister following close behind him, and Kevin Burrows in the 80 certainly had pace in that first race, trying to follow close behind him, working to the inside, right side as they go into the bus stop. But Burrows just ahead of Gareth McAllister as the second through fourth place cars all run nose through tail through the bus stop and through the inner loop. Reidinger able to break away a little bit as he's pulled out to just about a 1 second lead, so getting about the best start he possibly could. See what he's able to do with that, if he can take advantage of that. Pretty close racing though to start. Only a 30-minute time interval on this one, and like I said, 12 laps, so half that distance of the first race. Kevin Burrows, though, trying to pull away, as you see the 73 of Felipe Ramos able to get by Gareth McAllister. We've got a little bit of shuffling behind. Looks like Xavier Sanabi having a little bit of an issue leading this group is the 26 of Brad Trenton. We're going to focus here as this is a battle for 5th through about 11th place on track. Big group of cars right here as they work their way into the final 2 corners of the first lap. It's led by the 26 of Brad Trenton. Raymond Aguilar trying to work his way back up through the field. He's already up 6 spots. Looks like Norman King has a bit of an issue there. We'll get a look at what happened to him. So a couple drivers are quickly off track early on in this race. Patterson with a problem to start. Hunter Graves back. King, of course, with that, and Brandon Dwan and Michael Rolson are on pit road to start. You can see Aguilar trying to work his way closer to Brad Trenton as they work their way through the bus stop. Again, we heard drivers talking about how the curbing is so fickle there through the bus stop, and if you do not hit it the right way, it can spell very much danger and end of your race potentially for your machine. Great battle here as you see Aguilar able to get by the 26 of Trenton. Number 3 of John Kasai trying to close up here, see if he can insert himself into this battle, at least take over 7th place or 6th place from Trenton, as Raymond Aguilar has moved himself all the way up to 5th spot from his 12th place starting position. Let's jump back to the lead though, as Kevin Burrows made quick work of that almost 1 second gap that Reidinger had. He's closed it down to about 1/3 of a second now, trying to close his way back in here on lap number 2, see if he can take the lead away. Did show he had pace to be one of the fastest in the feature race. See if that can extend here to the sprint race, or if being half the length of drivers is going to have a bit of a different mentality, and you're going to see guys different finishes there. Great battle up front though, as these drivers run about a car length and a half separation as they work their way out of the S's. You see Burrows working his way to the right side of Reidinger. He's going to try to work that right side as they take their way into the bus stop. We'll see if he's able to clear Reidinger. Reidinger really going to send it in full throttle there, and Kevin Burrows thought a little bit wiser of it, checked up, sat behind Reidinger. I think he knew while this is a faster and a shorter race, there was no reason to push it that hard on lap 3 and risk losing his entire race. As any incident here, without, you know, just a single car spin is likely going to prove the end of your race. So Peter Reiniger trying to hold off Kevin Burrows as he extends it back to about a third of a second. Got about a 2-car length separation as they work their way to the last couple corners of the boot section here at Watkins Glen. Great job by these drivers, though. You can see looming not too far behind is the 73 of Felipe Ramos and Gareth McAllister, down 2 spots from his second place starting position in 4th. He's going to be under attack probably relatively soon by the 72 of Raymond Aguilar, as Aguilar continues to try to march his way through the field. We're going to keep it here on the front, as this is a great battle between the 44 of Reidinger and the 80 of Burrows. They work their way across the start-finish line back into turn number 1. We'll see if Burrows tries to look to the right-hand side of Reidinger. He thinks better of it, sits behind him. Reidinger runs a little bit wider there off of turn 2. Doesn't seem to harm him too much. Gap still maintaining right around a third of a second. Again, we appreciate all the fans that are tuned in, lending their support to these drivers. We know how much that means to them, and we thank you very much to tune in as well. Love having you here each and every week. We love bringing this to you. Reidinger stretching that gap out a little bit over Kevin Burrows. Kevin Burrows maybe let the tires cool a little bit, as we've heard some drivers say that those tires can get a bit too hot if you slide the cars around a little too much, make the grip a little bit tougher to find, as well as you may find yourself falling off the pace a little bit more towards the end of the run. Again, with this being the sprint race, likely to not see any pit stops, so drivers are going to be probably managing similar runs to what they had in the first race, but maybe a little more apt to push harder up front and try to gain all the positions they can, as they feel like with half the distance they don't have anywhere near as much time to try to recover from any mistakes or gain by anybody. But you can see a pretty close battle here for first and second on track, and then another fairly close battle for third through fifth on the track that's led by the 73 of Felipe Ramos, followed by the 25 of Gareth McAllister and the 72 of Raymond Aguilar. So we're doing a great job maintaining the positions that they've been in since the last lap, coming by to complete lap number 4 and begin lap number 5. You can see Burrows able to work his way by Reidinger finally, but Reidinger trying to work to the left side of Burrows as they go up the hill through the S's. We'll see if he's able to get a toe out of the S's and take advantage on the back stretch for Burrows, or if he's going to follow behind him. He looks to his left side, see if he can get anything. He did prove he was not afraid to send it into the bus stop pretty hard, so we'll see if he does the same thing, or if he chooses to fall in line behind Burrows, protect that second place from the 3 behind them. Looks like he's going to fall back a little bit, so give Kevin Burrows an almost half-second lead right now as they work their way out of the inner loop of the carousel and into the boot section here. Good battle between the 25 of Gareth McAllister and the 72 of Felipe Aguilar as he tries to work his way back up front. Gareth McAllister trying to hang on to that 4th place for all he can. Showing he has done a great job so far this evening in navigating what's proven to be a little bit of a tricky track at times for some drivers, but certainly other drivers making it look fairly easy. Taking a little bit of a different line compared to both Ramos in front and Aguilar behind, but certainly doing a great job fending off Aguilar. He's making the advances a little bit more difficult for Aguilar, as Aguilar definitely with a tough task to try to work his way up through the field. We'll focus here on this as he's trying to close down. Gap's fairly even between Ramos, McAllister, and Aguilar, as Ramos is leading that pack of 3. It's about a second, just under a second and a half off the 44 of Reidinger, so Gap's falling back a little bit as the last time by. Reidinger with a little bit of a slower lap, but overall you can see McAllister makes the move to the right-hand side of Ramos and almost 3 wide. The 72 of Raymond Aguilar tried to get aggressive and pick up 2 spots at once, but thinks a little better if it chooses to fall back in line, save his car, wait for another day, so move Gareth McAllister back up to the number 3 position and Ramos back to the 4 position. See if McAllister's got anything to say for the 44 of Reidinger or the 80 of Burrows as they work lap number 6 of 12 this evening. You can see just behind McAllister, Raymond Aguilar works to the right-hand side of Felipe Ramos. See if he can clear Ramos as those two run side by side down the straightaway. Ramos, a little bit of a disadvantage. Looks like he chooses to concede the position to Aguilar. Again, some drivers kind of thinking towards the end of this race that lose one position now, but if you don't get in any trouble, you're going to save a lot of potential positions. So move Aguilar up to 4th now, and Ramos back to 5th. We'll see if Aguilar sets his sights on the 25 of Gareth McAllister, if he's able to close up on him. He's currently about a half second back of McAllister as they work their way. Drivers are now approaching the halfway mark of this sprint race. 6 laps down and 6 laps to go. See Aguilar with a very wide line there off of turn number 1. Really closes in on the 25 of Gareth McAllister. Let's see if he's going to look one way or the other. Tries to cut to the right side, goes back to the left side of McAllister. These two are going to run side by side out of the S's and onto the back stretch. You can see McAllister holding the right sideline as they work their way into the bus stop. Raymond Aguilar with the outside line. Looks like McAllister kind of conceded that position again. Similar thing. Oh, and he gets loose. We've seen drivers talk about that curbing being very difficult to handle through the bus stop. So he's going to fall back pretty far. Right now back down to 9th place. So bit of an exit there for Gareth McAllister, but able to keep it off the wall. So should be able to get rolling. We'll get back up to Raymond Aguilar. It also caused Ramos to fall a little bit behind. So a little bit of a gap there between Reidinger for 2nd, Aguilar for 3rd, and Ramos for 4th. They're all about 2 seconds apart, and Kevin Burrows about a 1.5 seconds ahead. Focus on these drivers as they work their way out on lap number 7. See, gaps closed down a little bit between Burrows and Reidinger last time by not much, about a 1/2 second separating the two drivers. So Reidinger trying to do what he can, but losing a little bit of time. Again, you're going to see drivers kind of bounce back and forth through different sections depending on where they are strongest. Aguilar trying to close up as much as he can. We're going to look at Ramos and Brad Tritton as they run side by side, though, off of the S's into the bus stop. We've seen this be a contentious place, so Triton makes a big move by Ramos. So the Triton up to the 4th place, and Felipe Ramos back to the 5th place. On track, Chase Small trying to work his way back up. Chase is going to be the next one that wants to attack Felipe Ramos, so you can see he's falling quickly behind him. Just about a 1/3 second back, and not too far behind them is the number 3 of John Kasai, so that's a battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th on track. Let's see if Ramos continues to fall a little bit. If these drivers can smell blood in the water, and see if they can take advantage of that, try to push as hard as they possibly can. Again, just going to be approximately 4 laps to go soon as Kevin Burrows is working his way onto the front stretch, getting ready to complete lap number 8 with your 12-lap sprint race. But we're going to keep it here right now. It's Felipe Ramos really trying to fend off Chase Small and John Kasai. You see those tails 3 separated about even gaps. Great job by those drivers. Jump up to the front, though, is Aguilar. This is for a battle for 2nd and 3rd place. Aguilar really making quick work in this field as he has closed down on Reidinger quite a bit. Has that down to even as they work their way onto the backstretch. Again, seems to be the favorite place for these drivers to pass this evening going into the bus stop there. So you see Aguilar able to clear Reidinger, so put Reidinger back to 3rd place, move Aguilar up 10 spots from a 12th place starting position. up to second place, and he's got a bit of a gap, just under 3 seconds to close down to Kevin Burrows, but he has proven over the course he can take off chunks of time. So we'll see with just about 2.5 laps to go, or 3.5 laps to go, if he's going to be able to make that, or if he's going to fall a little behind. See Aguilar starting to pull away, closing down that gap to Kevin Burrows. He's trying to do all he can as they are getting ready to work their way across the start-finish line to begin lap number 10 of 12. They come back though and look at the battle between 6th and 7th as Felipe Ramos and John Casaya. Chase Small was able to work by Ramos that last lap, and now you see John Casaya trying to position himself to do the same thing, see if he can work his way closer to the top 5. Side running a little bit wider. You're seeing some drivers take a little bit of a wider line, and some other drivers are choosing to run that exit out of turn 1 a little bit tighter. I think some drivers may feel a little bit comfortable coming across that curb, and other drivers wanting to minimize that risk as much as they possibly can and not lose their vehicles at all. Ramos set that a little bit wide through the bus stop, but still able to maintain about a half a second over the 7th place car of John Casaya there in the 3 machine. See, they are also trying to close, see if they can close back up to the 5 of Chase Small. He continues to pull away though. Check back in with your leaders momentarily as Aguilar has that gap down to under 2 seconds. So making quick work of it, but again, whether or not we're going to have enough time left in the race for Aguilar to get around Burrows is left to be seen for the remainder of this sprint race. Ramos doing a pretty good job though after Chase Small was able to get by him. He's done a pretty good job of maintaining a gap over John Casaya. It's held somewhere around 1/3 of a second to half a second, so he's certainly doing a good job withstanding the pressure of not giving up any more spots than he needs to. Oh, tags the wall a little bit there out of the final corner. We'll see if that leaves any ill effects on the vehicle. Looks like it was a light tap with the left rear tire to the outside retaining wall. Doesn't seem like it bent any suspension components or did any other damage to the vehicle, so he may be catching a little bit of a lucky break there that wasn't worse, and we'll see if he can try to pull away from Casaya after that little bit of a misstep there coming out of the final corner. Get back up to the lead as that gap is closed significantly. Burrows now with just under a 1 1/4 lead over Raymond Aguilar. Aguilar the last time by just under 3/4 of a second faster than Kevin Burrows, so he is chopping at the bit, trying to get his way back up to the front as they are working in lap 11 of 12 here. No reason why we should not go the full distance here, as you can see, just under 18 minutes, so plenty of time left to complete a lap and a half for all of these drivers. Glad to see such clean racing and the drivers able to get the full distance in, as we've seen great racing all season long from these drivers. We'll see in this last lap and a quarter or so if Aguilar can actually get back there, or if he's going to fall victim to needing just another lap or so in order to complete the run from 12th to 1st. Certainly be momentous if he was able to complete that, not once but twice this evening. White flag waves as Kevin Burrows takes it. See if he can fend off any last lap woes. Don't think he's going to be looking to have a repeat of the feature race this time. I think he wants to hold on to that lead position. Raymond Aguilar certainly closing up. See if he can try to take advantage, get close enough to the slipstream of Kevin Burrows and try to catch that toe, pull himself closer. Each driver going to be trying to maximize their corner speeds while not keeping the car over the edge of the grip. Avoid making any mistakes that they need to and not lose positions. great battles we've seen. The sprint race creates a sense of urgency and forces these drivers to try to make moves much faster, which creates great on-track action for all you fans out there. Again, we say hi to Braceman TV. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate all those out there that have tuned in with us for this event this evening. It's been great racing, and I've been glad to bring it to you here. Gap's down to about 0.6 of a second. It's going to be really close. I'm not sure if Aguilar is going to have enough, because not only does he need to get to the back of Kevin Burrows, but he's got to be able to find a way to get around him, as they've got just a few corners left here. See, Burrows avoids where he made the mistake the last race, so checks one off for himself as he's looking at just one final corner. Looks like we've got a bit of a crash between Ramos and Kasai there on the final lap. We'll take a look at that, but Kevin Burrows is going to be able to hold off a valiant charge by the 72 of Raymond Aguilar. Nick Reidinger taking advantage of that pole start. He's going to bring his 44 machine across in 3rd place. Brad Tritton in 4th, and Chase Small going to bring it across in 5th place. Let's take a quick look and see. Oh, Chase Small sent it. I think he was doing a little bit of a final race melee there. Let's take a look and see what happened between Felipe Ramos and John Kasai there on the last lap. You can see Ramos on the left-hand side outside of corner. Kasai on the inside. Not sure if somebody's going to get a little loose or if two drivers are just going to come together. You can see them both coming off of the corner. Take a look and see what happens. Looks like Ramos is going to slide up just in front of Kasai, make a little bit of contact, and that's going to upset both of those cars. You see them both going for a spin there. Going to get our drivers to our waiting room for another set of interviews. Great racing by these drivers. That sprint race certainly led to its intended design with great on-track action. Again, we'll give you the full field rundown quickly while we wait for our drivers to get out of their vehicles and get in the waiting room. Kevin Burrows with the win. Raymond Aguilar finishing in 2nd. Peter Reidinger bringing home in 3rd. Brad Tritton in 3rd. Chase Small in, or Brad Tritton in 4th. Chase Small in 5th. John Kasai able to bring it home in 6th after that contact with Ramos. Ramos able to bring it home in 7th. Levi Opitz in 8th. Ricardo Espino in 9th. Gareth McAllister, after his issues, able to bring home in 10th. Xavier Sinavi in 11th. Nick Marshall in 12th. Norman King in 13th. Danilo Sparapani in 14th. Hunter Graves in 15th. Nick Patterson in 16th after his issue. Brendan Dwan in 17th. And Michael Rolson rolling out your field in 18th. Let's get our drivers in for you. Going to bring in your 3rd place finisher of Peter Reidinger. I have with me the 3rd place finisher driver of the number 44 machine, Peter Reidinger. Started on the pole. Looks like you were trying to take advantage of that to start the race and command a little bit of lead, but a little bit of a quicker pace by both Burrows and Aguilar. Were they just able to find some speed on the track, or did you feel like you had lost a little bit trying to hold them off there in terms of tire grip?
Well, I tried my best to actually hold them back. At least I've tried to hold Kevin back. There was no chance I could hold Raymond back because he was considerably faster than me, and I knew this in the first place. And I just was happy that I finished 3rd, so that's pretty good as well for me. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly a great race. We saw a lot of drivers having issues, especially in that sprint race, trying to get all they could, having issues with coming across the curbs and losing their vehicles. Seems like you didn't really have too many incidents that way, both in the feature race and the sprint race. Did you feel like you were maybe running a little bit under your maximum capacity, or were you trying to push it as hard as you could there?
I did have my close calls. I think 3 or 4 close calls where just kept the car on the straight while I felt it was spinning, and it's really hard on the track to keep on the limit and not spin the car. It's so close to that gap is so close. So it's a hard track.
Certainly, you made it look pretty good. I mean, we saw, a little bit of different strategy. Did you feel like with that sprint race that you could dial up the aggression a little more and run a little bit harder? Or did you kind of run similar pace and lap times to what you were running in the feature race?
Normally in the sprint, in the shorter race, I tend to be more aggressive. So I fight more in the corners and I try to get more speed up to a point when I see, okay, it doesn't make any sense anymore, like it was for the last 5 laps or something right now. But normally in the sprint, I'm being more aggressive.
Well, certainly a great run. Anybody you want to send a shout out to before we let you go for the evening?
Like last week, just to everyone for great racing.
Well, certainly great job. Glad to see you finish well, and congratulations on a well-deserved third place
Thank you,
finish
Jacob.
tonight. That was your third place finisher, driver of the number 44 machine, Peter Reidinger. We're going to bring with us the second time in the booth, driver of the number 72, Raymond Aguilar. Raymond, what a shock. I get to talk to you for a second time tonight. Great second place finish there. Seems like maybe the 12th place starting spot was about your only undoing and not being able to get to the lead tonight there in the sprint race.
I know, man. I was trying. I definitely. I gotta be honest. I didn't see Kevin was ahead of me. If I would have known he was still in, if it would have occurred to me, I probably could have pushed harder. But yeah, he deserves it, man. He did an awesome job. He drove. He was so consistent. If you watch the sector times, he was just like even Stevens everywhere we went.
You certainly put another great showing on working your way through the field. A lot of clean passes, great running up there. It looked like you had a little bit of a battle there with Felipe Ramos and Gareth McAllister kind of in the middle of that race where it kind of stalled you out a little bit. Were those drivers just running that hard? Did you feel like you might have been dialing back your pace a little bit to save a little bit there for the end to make a late race run?
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to well, we're in a points race. I'm just trying not to die out there. And uh in a situation with the toe like this, you got to kind of choose your battles wisely. And I was kind of babying it early on because I didn't want to crash anybody or end up in the wall.
We certainly did a great job there. Again, we know we saw a few drivers have issues with those bumps, curbing, especially through the bus stop. Did you feel like in the sprint race with the sense of urgency and half the distance that you really had to choose to run it on the limit and push it through there? Did you still kind of take the same lines that you were in the feature race tonight?
Yeah, no, I definitely tried switching the lines up tonight. We in between races we had a talk with the marshals, and they definitely done some sweeping around there. So we thought there might be more grip, so I tried to push harder going into there.
Well, certainly looks like you made advantage of it. I think if you had one more lap out there, we would have seen a great side-by-side finish for the race one with you and Kevin. Anybody you want to send a final shout out to or send a big thanks to before I let you go for the evening?
Yeah, I mean, I keep getting clear with Sky Rizzy. I got my family and support system are huge in this whole endeavor, right? Daphne, my wife, my beautiful wife Taylor, and daughter Billy, and again my teammate. I don't know if you noticed, he had played such an awesome role out there for points finish. Chase Smalley did such a great job. So yeah, all of them, Little Debbie as usual. That's it.
Certainly a great run. It was my pleasure to call you to two awesome finishes and glad to spend some time talking with you this evening.
Yep. Thanks again to Goon Squad too, by the way. I appreciate it. Thanks, Jacob.
That was our second place finisher, Raymond Aguilar. We are going to bring in the man of the final race, our race winner, Kevin Burrows. I have the pleasure with me now speaking to the race winning driver of the 80 machine, Kevin Burrows. I feel like that's got to feel like some redemption for you compared to that last lap of the feature race. Feels good to get that win there in the sprint race.
Yeah, feature race didn't go as good as I planned there. I was trying to catch up with Raymond, which I know I can't, but was trying to catch up with him and lost it, and that was it. So, but put me in good position for the sprint race, and it worked out well.
Well, he certainly gave you some mad props in that sprint race that he was saying you were one of the most consistent drivers on the track. And it certainly looked like once you got by Peter, you really kind of just checked out and took command of that field. Do you feel more comfortable in the last sprint race after having the 24 laps of the feature? Did you feel like you kind of tried something different or learned something different during the break between the two races?
Yeah, I mean the sprint felt better, because not as long, and the tires aren't wearing as much. But boy, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I believe this was my first win in this league, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, certainly that was awesome to see. You did a great job getting by everybody. Started towards the front, but I still feel like it had to be a bit hairy trying to work your way up through some drivers that may not be quite as experienced with running in the front, especially off the start where everybody's trying to gain the position as quickly as they could. Did you try to make as passes as quickly as possible, or did you kind of try to feel everybody out and see where their weaknesses were and try to attack that?
Oh, I thought I would lay back a little bit but try to push as much as I could because I knew Raymond was going to be coming. I knew Brad was going to be coming, and I thought, well, I need to get out ahead and try to get a little bit of a lead to try to get away from everybody. So, to give me a little bit of gap from them guys.
Well, certainly a great job. Congratulations on the victory in the sprint race. Anybody you want to send a shout out to before we let you go for the evening?
I'd like to thank the wife for putting up my hobby, and as always, my team TLDR. Appreciate all them, and you guys up in the booth. Y'all do a great job. We appreciate you all.
Well, congratulations on a well-deserved race win. It was a pleasure to watch and a pleasure to call for you, and look forward to great things to come from you in the future.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
And with that, let's get a final rundown of your sprint race grid. You can see the 80 of Kevin Burrows with the win, Raymond Aguilar bringing it home in second, Peter Reininger in third, Brad Tritton in fourth, and Chase Small in fifth. Great run by all these drivers. We saw some drivers push it just a little bit over the edge. Seemed like it was so easy to have happen, but other drivers able to maintain control tonight and show us some great racing here at Watkins Glen. We saw two races that really kind of varied a little bit in strategy as they're expected to, but produced great results both ways. So we appreciate each and one of you tuning in tonight, and we look forward to bringing you the next round at the same place, same time next week here at Team Goon Squad. So until the next one, say so long, happy trails, and great racing, everybody. Thanks.